This is a Sports Catastrophe production.
Hey there, Heather, ho there. It's Jeff Cutter Diamond. Welcome you to another Sports Catastrophe on this date. And on this day, January the 18th, 2015, one of the craziest NFC title games ever happened. It was a gigantic 16-point comeback for the Seattle Seahawks as they took on the Green Bay Packers in the NFC title game to determine who would go to the Super Bowl. So, the road to the Super Bowl was huge. Both Seattle and Green Bay were the top two seeds. Seattle was the one seed in the NFC, and Green Bay was the two seed. Because of that, in the old playoff format of 6 teams per conference, the top two teams got byes into the divisional round, so they didn't have to play on wildcard weekend. Seattle would take on Carolina in the divisional playoff and won 31-17, whereas Green Bay got lucky and beat Dallas 26-21. And yeah, this was the playoff season that Detroit actually got a call overturned that would have that cost them dearly, and Dallas won the game. And then Dallas got bit themselves by losing to Green Bay on what was supposed to be a Dez Bryant either touchdown or down at the 1 yard line, but they ruled he didn't have complete control, so Green Bay got the ball fourth down. So knowing that, Seattle kind of figured that they were due. Everyone will want Seattle to win because of Green Bay getting in the Super Bowl by bad luck. So anyway, at Century Lake Field, the game started at 3 Eastern, 12 Pacific. 52 Fahrenheit, 11 Celsius with rain and wind. Well, it's Seattle, rain is huge. With over 68,000 in attendance, Fox having the great Joe Buck and Troy Aikman power couple, if you will. So anyway, Green Bay's first possession was actually deflated when Aaron Rodgers threw a pass, but Richard Sherman made a great interception. Seattle fared no better as a few plays later, Clinton Dix, that's his name, got the ball off an interception. Green Bay tried to push it in but failed, and they had to go for a 3-point field goal by Mason Crosby. The Packers again went to the Seahawks 1 yard line and needed a field goal to go up 6-0. However, Green Bay did get a touchdown as Aaron Rodgers threw a touchdown to Randall Cobb to end the first quarter. Seattle could not do anything themselves, while Crosby kicked the field goal to make it 16-zip. And Wilson threw a pass, but Clinton Dix again with the interception. Wilson had a terrible job. He threw an interception to Sam Shields in the end zone, and that was it. Green Bay had a 16-0 lead at the half. So people were thinking Green Bay was going to get to the Super Bowl. A lot of fans didn't want Green Bay in because of how controversial they got in on the Dez Bryant failed play. Regardless, after an exchange of punts in the second half, Seattle did get a play. 4th and down at the 19, they decided for a field goal. And strange as it sounded, the Seahawks actually pulled off a fake field goal. John Ryan, the pride of Saskatchewan, the punter and the holder actually held the ball and decided to throw a floating pass to Gary Gilliam, who was an offensive tackle but was an eligible receiver. It was a huge play. Gilliam made the touchdown. Seattle was down 16-7. Gilliam was actually a tight end in college. So anyway, 16-7 in the fourth quarter. Seattle could come back. No big deal. Green Bay had a drive that got a field goal. Crosby kicked for 48 yards. 19-7 Green Bay. Green Bay was in possession as Morgan Burnett would make a big interception. And it looked like that was it. They were down at their 43-yard line with 5 minutes left, and it looked like Green Bay would settle it. But there was a crucial defensive stand. The Packers tried to run down the clock. But that Seattle used 2 of their 3 timeouts. So they had a minute 12 to do something, and down by 12. No, sorry, that was a minute 12 off the clock in the thing. But Seattle got the drive. After a few key passes to Doug Baldwin and Marshawn Lynch, Wilson scored on touchdown himself, 19-14. So Green Bay had a chance. Seattle decided to make an onside kick with 2:09 and 1 timeout left. And it looked like Green Bay, onside kicks are not really the best solution, as usually they don't get. touched. Anyway, Stephen Hotchkiss' kick went up in the air and right to Brandon Bostick, a tight end. Unfortunately, Bostick bobbled it. And it actually bounced off Bostick's helmet and face mask and was recovered by Chris Matthews of the Seahawks. The rule, of course, is that the ball has to travel 10 yards unless it's touched by a player of the opposing team. And then if they bobble it and the kicking team recovers, then they can recover for a touchdown. They can recover it and it'll be clean. So that's what happened. Bostick made the mistake of getting in front of Jordy Nelson to try to attempt to return the ball. If he had stayed back, Jordy Nelson would have had the ball and Green Bay probably would have won. But anyway, Seattle used 4 plays and Marshawn Lynch scored with 1:25 on the clock, meaning Seattle was up big. They decided to go for 2 points. And Wilson threw a good floater to Luke Wilson with 2 L's and a Canadian. Made the big catch. And 2 points later, Seattle was up 22-19. So it looked like Seattle would be taking the momentum. Green Bay made a few kicks, and Crosby, with 14 seconds left, kicked the 50-yard field goal to send the game to overtime. Seattle won the coin toss and started overtime at the 13-yard line. If Seattle scored a touchdown, that would be it. If they scored a field goal, then Green Bay had a chance to counter with a touchdown or a field goal of their own. They had a big 3rd and 6. And Wilson threw a great pass to Doug Baldwin to get the ball to the Packers 35. And then he launched an identical pass to Jermaine Kearse. And Kearse, even though he was covered by Tremont Williams, made a great catch into the end zone. Touchdown, game, set, match. Seattle was going to the Super Bowl. Their 3rd in franchise history. This was Kearse's only catch of the game. Wilson would be 14 for 29, 209 touchdown, but 4 interceptions. But I think he could be forgiven for that. After all, Seattle didn't win the game. Doug Baldwin had 106 yards receiving. Marshawn Lynch ran for 157 yards, which was good. Aaron Rodgers, 19 for 34, 178, touchdown, 2 interceptions. They were good on the defense. Green Bay and Seattle, this was actually the 3rd time they met in the postseason in history. Green Bay was 2-0. The first meeting was that famous 2003 game, a playoff game when, well, it was in 2004, but the 2003 season, when Matt Hasselbeck, when Seattle and Green Bay went to overtime in Green Bay, and Matt Hasselbeck got the call right, got the coin toss right, and says, we want the ball, we're going to score. Well, unfortunately, he threw a pick 6, and the Packers won the game. The Packers would crush Seattle in the 2007 divisional round. Well, the division round in 2008. 42-20. So the Seahawks finally beat the Packers. This was the last time this has been the last time Seattle has been as far as the NFC title game, and will be because they're not in the 2024 playoffs. Brandon Bostick would get chastised by Green Bay fans for his fumble that cost Green Bay the onside kick and run the clock down. So that would be it for Green Bay. They were out. And a lot of people said, that's what happens, you know. They got in on a controversial call, they're going to get burned. It wasn't really controversial. Seattle would get to the Super Bowl for 2015, and it was a great Super Bowl. They had a chance to win. I mean, Jermaine Kearse made one of the best catches in Super Bowl history in the 4th quarter of that game when, through 2 defenders, he managed to put the ball up in the air, and then he caught the ball before a defender could catch it. Unfortunately, Seattle decided to pass for the touchdown instead of run Marshawn Lynch a few times. That would have iced the game for Seattle. And we all know what happened. The interception by the Packers, by Malcolm Butler, and game, set, match, Patriots win the Super Bowl. It was a great Super Bowl, and Seattle got bit. I'm sorry, but Seattle should never have gotten bit. And that's the story of the 2015-16 NFC title game. 14-15. What am I saying? I'm Jeff Diamond. I do.